more articulation. They're super gnarly.
You know, toys have been a big part of my life.
And people were always a little surprised when they got that in the mail, and they were like, I thought it would be bigger.
Richard had a key, he'd just come over because he's a morning person.
We never came to blows, but yeah, sometimes it got heated.
Great guys, they hold no hard feelings to me. They're, you know.
Dude, when we started at the beginning, we were so not successful. It was a hard road of learning. You know, we just had to teach ourselves everything. And with that comes a lot of failure. And yeah, we got very lucky exiting Toys R Us. We've landed very nicely at the bowling alley, small business, family owned, super entrepreneurial spirited, like down to help support us. When we initially were working at the bowling alley, we would put a notification on our phone for when we got a sale online. And initially, you know, getting 2 sales a day, it was exciting to hear that chime. You're like, oh my goodness, that's a sale. Yeah, what was it? I remember when we had 5 orders in 5 days. That's no order a day. Like, that's an order a day. You know what that means? It means you can get your calculator out and start doing an average. And you're like, oh man. So according to these numbers, if we continue to grow at the pace we're growing, we'll be self-employed in like 14.9 years.
Yeah, it was fun to have the dings go from 2 a day to 4 a day to 8 to 10. And then eventually it got to the point where we were like, we gotta turn this off. It's distracting. Like, we can't get any work done at the bowling alley. There's enough dings.
Doing radar like while working for Emerald, yeah, we had to do our jobs there, so we couldn't work on like actual radar. Like, you can't sit around and post product. It doesn't work that way. But being at the bowling alley, you have a lot of downtime, and that's a lot of time to just talk. And by talking, we're just building ideas.
They would get text messages all the time. And I'm like, hey dude, what's all the messages you're getting? You know, how many girls you got? But Richard, he's like, no, that's a notifier for when we're getting orders and we need to start shipping them out.
First met Jeff at the bowling alley, and he was a very quiet individual, and I'm pretty reserved myself, so we got along just fine.
So me and Richard worked in the kitchen most of the time, and John worked at the front desk.
And so when I started working with Jeff more, I got to know him a lot more. And he was just a great guy. He's smart. You know, he'd been working at the bowling alley for a few years, and he really knew a lot about the bowling alley business, even though he would just sit back and watch.
Oh, he was good. He was a good cook. You know, me and him usually tried to produce enough food for like 100 people within about half an hour to an hour. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, he did a good job. He was a good worker. Always liked him.
So trying to build radar and working nights at bowling alley was very challenging. You know, we start in the morning here at 8 or 9 a.m. Working on radar, and then head over to the bowling alley around 3 and start from 4 to about 11 p.m. midnight. And it was challenging. You know, a lot of hours trying to stay awake, a lot of caffeine to keep us going.
We shipped out of Richard and MJ's apartment, which I'm sure was awesome because they were newly married, and what newly married wife doesn't want boxes and tape guns. And
we moved 2 or 3 times in order to increase the space that we had at our apartment in order to make room for radar to operate out of the second room or out of whatever space we had left. And then it moved into John's rental.
And that was cool. That was, my cat never had it so good. Like we built shelving inside this studio to the ceiling. Richard had a key, he'd just come over because he's a morning person. So he would be up there before me. Like I literally wake up, come downstairs, my basketball shorts, just scratching like, so what time is it? He was like, it's 9:30, get to work. Okay. Let's start shipping and doing the things that we do.
And we were so sick of standing back to back, shipping packages and recording information on the computer. And we knew we needed a change. And we were not making much money, but we knew we needed to get a warehouse. And so luckily we found the warehouse we're in. We did know somebody who owns a warehouse, and luckily there was room in the warehouse.
And we had a very small corner of it. It was over there. And man, it was drafty. No amenities whatsoever.
We rented 800 square feet. And at the time, that seemed like so much room. We actually had built some shelving, and we brought in our toys and we put them on the shelves. And it filled up like maybe an eighth of all the shelves we built. And we thought, there's no way we're gonna fill the rest of these shelves. There's just no way.
In fact, I used to sit underneath this pipe, this big pipe, probably like a couple feet in diameter, and it was just open to the air, right? And the wind would blow and it would just shake the whole pipe. And I always thought to myself, dude, if this thing falls down, it's gonna final destination me. Like, clean. Like it'll be half John sandwich.
So from the outside of the warehouse, you think it's a lot bigger, but once you go through the door that was their portion of the warehouse, it was pretty confined. You know, they didn't have a whole lot of space. They were stacking, 8-10 boxes high.
The first thing you see are all these boxes of toys, all the numbers on them, trying to figure out the system that they have going on. It was a lot to take in. When Richard and John first started the company, they'd show me little pictures about what they had going on and all that. Aisles that, have proper bin numbers, everything's super well organized, there's plenty of space to walk around. I was actually pretty impressed.
I think one of my favorite memories, especially being in the warehouse, was watching these two grown men bicker like absolute married couple. It was pretty amusing, but again, you get that close for that many hours, people start to get under your skin. So I got to kind of take a back seat and just watch this. And it was actually one of the funniest parts of my job, was being able to come in, just keep my head down, do my shipping, and then watch the big dogs kind of go at it. And that was actually a pretty fun part for me to witness.
I just feel bad in hindsight. I have a lot of remorse for that time period of like the arguing. Like me and Richard would argue. I mean, like we're like brothers. At least I think of us like brothers. So yeah, we would argue about minutia.
Working at night at the bowling alley, coming back here in the morning to Radar, and trying to grow the business. Yeah, you tend to get sick of each other pretty quick. We're still alive though, both of us. We never came to blows, but yeah, sometimes it got heated.
Tyler had to sit there and watch all that, and I'm sure it was hilarious because a lot of our arguments were more funny than like serious arguments. I mean, that's a whole different wheelhouse.
And I think Radar did not fall apart because we're both very stubborn, and we both really didn't have a lot of options. Neither of us were gonna go make a lot of money at some other random job, knowing we had skills that we were trying to utilize and grow, and they weren't really valued by a lot of other people. And so we kind of had to make our own way in the world, and that happened to be together.
I think Tyler were the first person we ever let go where it affected me deeply, like it was sad when you're like, dude, it's your friend and it's not even about the job. It's about like, you want your friend's life to be smooth and good. And yeah, it was difficult. It
was funny because when they decided to let me go that day, I actually remember waking up that morning. I was already about 20 minutes late, so got myself sloppily together, lived about 20 minutes away. And I remember on the drive over here thinking, I was like, man, something just I felt it in my gut. I was like, something's gonna go different today. They're gonna have something, it's not just gonna be a small slap on the wrist and all right, let's get to work.
When we left Toys R Us, we really wanted to run a different company than what Toys R Us did. They were very much by the letter of the law, no matter how good the employee is or how bad the employee is. They just followed the rules completely and utterly. And as a big corporation, they probably had to. You know, with Tyler, we were very lax. He's our friend. He's the first employee in Radar. You know, we're very small. And so we gave him some leeway, and, you know, it finally just came to the end of its rope.
So I was expecting something like that to happen, and sure as right when I walked through the front door and opened up the tent, they had my check sitting in the keyboard, and just both had that look. And it's not that look of like, oh, I'm mad at you, but it's definitely like when mom and dad go, I'm just disappointed.
I think it was very mutual when we went to talk to him, and to let him know he's not going to be working with us anymore. And he was very respectful, you know, he's very sad about it, as we were, you know. I believe there was, you know, some tears shed at that moment as well. So, you know, it was rough.
I think one of the only things I truly regret, and it still to this day bums me out, is the way I departed Radar Toys. And it was probably because it's one thing to kind of be a bit of a slack at your job, but these were two people that I hold near and dear to my heart. So to kind of let them down in that regard, it definitely, and again, they're great guys. I hold no hard feelings to me. They're, you know, they're like a extended family. But knowing that I kind of left them in that position and didn't really give them my all, that was probably one of the things that hurt the most as far as what I did. You know,
Richard and I wanted the best for Tyler then, even through all the bad times we had, but we wanted the best for him now. So yeah, when I hear that, I just want to, you know, release Tyler from any of that, because I can only remember all of the good times.
We left on good terms. Didn't have, there's no fight, no harsh words, nothing like that. Just said, hey, obviously, if I can't respect them in the sense to make it on time and make this a priority, they got to find work elsewhere. So,
like, when I think back about the Tyler era at the bowling alley and at the warehouse, I only remember all the good stuff. Like, I can't even, all of the slack or whatever, none of it matters to me, like literally at all. I'm just happy to see that guy like doing well, thriving, always. And I don't know if I should say it on a documentary. Like, I'd hire him back in a heartbeat, you know, like without a doubt. But that might put me on the hook. Richard would be like, dude, you can't be saying hire someone again.
They wanted to meet me to vet me.
It screwed up our inventory so bad. It was the worst thing ever.
Because when we went in there, overkill.